Hi everyone, Salesforce admin training, day 7. Now let's see what are we going to learn today. We'll quickly go through the previous session overview and we'll talk about the time data type and the date time data type, number data type, percent data type, currency data type, and then we'll see URL, how to create a field with the URL data type, how to create a field with the email, how to create a field with Picklist multi-select, how the field will be displayed as a multi-select Picklist, and geolocation, how to add the geolocation. Then we will see the phone number, use case of one of the use case, final use case. Now, last class, what did we learn? We have learned data type, text, text area long, text area rich, text area encrypted, checkbox, and date. Today we will see continuation of that time data type. Time data type. So this data type allow us to create a time value. So as it says, the word it says time. The word it says time. That means if I wanted to store time related information in the custom object, right? In case if we wanted to store the time related field inside the object, if you wanted to store it, then we will use a time data type. But time data type has a two types of it. It has a two types. One is a 12 format. One is 12 hours format. 12 hours format. And the second one is a 24 hours format. 24 hours format. Now, that means 12 hours format is nothing but, when I say 12 hours is nothing but, it is a, like for example, let's say here 9 a.m. 9 a.m. which is morning. And then we have a 4 p.m. For 12 hours, we will just write a 9 a.m., 4 p.m., 4 a.m., 5 p.m. Like this we will write. If it is a 24 hours format, if it is a 24 hours format, then we can use the 40:30. That means it's at 2:30 p.m. 2:30 p.m. we will say 14:30. If it is a, for example, 6 p.m. For 6 p.m. we will say 18. For 6 p.m. we will say 18. 18. For 6 p.m. we will say 18. For 6 p.m. we will say 18. So like this, we have a different type of a time format, 12 hours and 24 hours. So time is nothing but this data type allow us to store the time value inside the field. Inside the field, either the 12 format or a 24 hours format. So time can be created in the format of the hours, minutes, or hours, minutes, seconds, or hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. Now here you see that allow user to enter the local time, for example, 2:40 p.m. or a 14:40 or a 14:40, or this is the one. So our valid time. That means user just enter the hour minutes, or user can enter the hours minutes seconds, or user can enter the hours minutes seconds milliseconds. So 1 second equal to 1000 milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds. So we can add in this format. So example, like a 12 hours format. For 12 hours format, user can enter 9 a.m. or a 4 p.m. If it is a 24 hours format, then they can enter 14:30 to 30 p.m. or a 6 p.m. Now here the properties are, for creating a time, properties are field label, field name, field description, help text, and the required checkbox. Right now, by this today, we should be aware of this. What are these properties? Today, we should be aware of what are these properties. So this is a time data. Take a note of it. Okay. So yesterday we have seen date, data type, and this is the time data type. Now we have a one more which is called as a date time data type. One more which is called date time data type. So if you want to store the date separately, you can store the date. If you want to store the time separately, you can store it. Or if you want to combine and store it inside the field, you can store it. So which is called as a date time data type. So date time data type is used to store both date and timestamp values inside the field. Right, it is created by last modified, and the deletion date. And the properties are field label, field name, description, help text, required checkbox. This is also same as it is time data type. Right? Now the next one is if I wanted to store the details of numbers. For example, I wanted to store the customer number of times visiting to the hospital. The customer number of times visiting to the hospital, I wanted to store that data. If I wanted to store that data, that means I need to have a field here which says number of visits. It says number of visits. Now here I'm going to specify the value, how many times the person or the customer has visited to the hospital. 3 times in this month, or a 4 times, or a 7 times he has visited. What is the number of time that he has visited to the hospital? In case if I wanted to store, I can use number data type. I can use number data type. Number data type. So this number data type is basically it will allow us to store, it will allow the developer to store the numerical values inside the field along with the decimal digits. That means number data type will accept the integer like a 35 or a 36. Also, it will accept the decimal digits. That means, for example, 18.2 or a 31.5 or 31.2. So decimal digits also it will accept. It will accept the decimal digits. So both the things will be accepted in the number data type, integer as well as the decimal. Now, whenever you are creating the number data type, there are two fields. One field which will ask that what is the length of it? What is the length of it? Usually it is a 18-digit length. Usually it is 18-digit length. 18-digit length. So number is always it's a 18-digit length. Now while creating the number data type, you will have a two boxes. Now one box is normal here and another one it will specify, say here it is a decimal. Right, so this is the decimal. Now by default number data type digits are 18 digits. Now if you say here 16 digit, then decimal should be a 2. If you say 10 digits here, if you say 10 digits, now that means what is this? For example, if I say here 2 digits and here it is a 16 digits. What is this means? Whatever the number you are entering it, before the dot, it will accept anything 2 digits. After the dot, it will accept the 16 digits. After the dot, it will accept the 16 digits. Now, if you say here 16 digit and here it is a 2 digit, then it will be like, first it will accept all the 16 digit dot, decimal will be a 2 digits. In that case, it is just a 2 number. In that case, it is just a 2 digits. So here you will have a 2 digits. Right, so this is the number. Number will accept. If you do not want anything here, you can specify the 0 decimal. You can specify the 0 decimal. If you do not want anything here, now you can say here 0 decimal. Basically, I'm not expecting any decimal in that number data type. So in that case, you can simply specify the 0 here. So it allows the store the numeric values which can be maximum of 18 digit, right? So example 32, 12, 56 or a 5.6 or a 6.1, whatever the properties are there. For example, I wanted to capture the customer height. So in that case, height will be always decimal. Now I need to use the data type. Now 1, 2 digits, maximum 2 digits, and then decimal should be a 2 digits. Decimal should be a 2 digits. Now you can create the height, customer height field. For the customer height, you can capture using the number data type. Now properties are field label, field name, description, help text, length, and also it will ask you the number of decimal digits. How many number of decimal digits you want? 0 or a 16. If you say length is a 16, now you have a decimal digits, 2 digits are there. If the length is 18, then decimal digits are 0. And then we have a required checkbox, unique checkbox, and external ID checkbox. Now yesterday I have explained about the unique checkbox, external ID checkbox, right? So only the new things which we are seeing in the number data type is length and the number of decimal. Now the two boxes which I have explained, the two boxes which I have explained, this is the length, this is the length, and the second one is number of decimal, how many numbers you wanted to add. Both, combining both, it should be a 18 digit. Combining the both, it should be 18 digit. If you add a 16 here it should be a 2 digit. If you add a 18 digit here, decimal will be the 0. Decimal will be the 0. Take a note of it. Done? Okay. Now, this is the number data type which will accept the numerical values. Also, it will accept the decimal digits. Now you need to specify what is the decimal digits, how many number of decimal digits you wanted to accept. You have to specify here. That is a number data type. Now, sometimes I need to capture the percentage. Sometimes I need to capture the percentage. Now, when I say percentage, like a discount. Now, sometimes whatever we are purchasing it or whatever the customer is purchasing it, so the customers always look for the discount. They always look for a discount. That means whenever they are purchasing something, what is the discount that is applied on top of the price? So whether it is a 5% or whether it is a 2% or whether it is a 10%, in that scenario, we will create a percent data type. We will create percent data type. So this data type allows us to store the numerical values inside the field. Right? You need not to mention the percentage here. You need not to specify the percentage. While creating the field, you need not to specify the percentage here. You just need to enter the pi. For example, this is a UI. This is UI. So in this UI, now here you have a one field which is called as a number of visit. Number of visit. And second one, we have a discount. Right? Second one, we have a discount. Now here number of visit can be entered in the either decimal or a single numerical value. And in the discount, user just need to enter the some number here. User just need to enter the some number. No need to enter the percentage. No need to enter the percentage. It just a number has to be entered. It just number has to be entered. Automatically in the database, it will take it as a percentage. Because while creating this field, we have specified the percent data type. Percent data type. So there is a percent data type in the Salesforce. So this percent data type is allow user to enter the percentage number, for example, 10. If user enter 10, automatically it adds the percentage sign to the number. Now discount is 10%, like a discount equal to 10% or a GST. If you want to, for everything we have a GST, 3% or a 2% or a 4%, which is a combination of SGST and CGST. Country level GST and state level GST. So both of them combining this, we have a total GST will be there. GST will be there. So whenever they are adding the GST, definitely that is a percentage. Now can store the numerical values up to maximum of 18 digits, including the decimal values. Even percentage is also store the decimal points. So numerical as well as the percentage both will store the number data type as the and percent data type both will store the numerical values as well as it stores the decimal points as well as it stores the decimal points. Now properties of the percentage is field label, field name, description, help text length, number of decimal digits and the required field. So length and number of decimal digits we have seen in the number data type. Same thing is available on the percent data type. Same thing is available on the percent data type. Take a notes of it. We will create a one example in the Salesforce. Now let's go ahead and create it. Now in the Salesforce, let's create a discount. Let's create a discount field in the customer object. Now let's search here customer object. Customer is the object. Now here we have a fields. Now let's click on the new button. Now I'm going to add a data type is %. Percentage allow user to enter the percentage number. For example, 10, and automatically add the % sign to the numbers. %, click on the next button. Now let's say this is the discount. Now here length is by default it is giving the 18. By default it is giving the 18. Now here it is giving the hint to developers or admin. Please enter the length of the number and number of decimal places. For example, the length of the decimal is a 8 and the 2 is a decimal places. Can accept the values up to like this. Now let's say that I want the length 2 digits and the decimal I want just a 2 digits, or maximum we can go for a 3 digits. Decimal we can go for a 3 digits. Now we have a description help text which is fine, required, auto, and to custom report type. Click on the next button. Now once we click on the next button, we have a field level security. As it is, I am going with this field level security. Click on the next and save. Now let's go to the Salesforce. Let's search here customer. Not this one, the other one. Right. Fine. So here I'll click on this Anita. Now let's assume that discount is added at the bottom. Click on this discount. Let's say I'm entering the 5. It is automatically taken the percentage. Now what I'm entering the, let's say 12.67 is the discount. Now it will be automatically added the 12.67 percentage discount. Right, if I enter 3 digits, it is accepting only the 2 digits. Now if I enter 3 digits, what will happen? Now it will say that it's not a valid, because the one which we have created, discount, it's a percentage is 2 and 3. That means length is a 2 and the decimal places is 3. Now if I give a 3 digits here, if I give a 3 digits, does not accept. It does not accept discount value outside of the valid range on the numeric field, because the numeric field is, we have just mentioned 2 digits. Right? That's the discount. And the next one, for example, in the opportunity. In opportunity, we have a discard the changes. Let's go to the opportunity. In the opportunity, we have a one field amount. We have a field called amount. On this amount, it is storing the currency details. It is storing the currency details. Now, if I wanted to create one field with the same, it should show the dollar here. It should show the before the price, it should show the dollar, and then it should give me the whatever the amount is there, it should give me the amount. Right? Either dollar, because this company is in the US, so that's the reason we have shown the dollar. If the company is India, Then we will show INR, and then we'll have a values. INR and then we'll have a values. Like this, it will display. The currency value, the currency locale is going to display front of the whatever the number is there. Now, this is in case if I wanted to create this kind of a fields. How can I create it? We have a data type which is called currency data type. We have a data type called currency data type. So this data type allows us to store the currency values along with the decimal digits. Now example, salary equal to 20,000. Salary equal to 20,000, which is automatically will be converted into the dollar 20,000. So it allows the maximum of 18-digit number in the field. It allows the 18-digit number in the field. Each currency value will get the prefix with the currency, whatever the currency is there currently configured the currency symbol. That symbol will be displayed before the actual price, or it is prefixed with whatever the price is there, whatever the amount is there. The amount it starts with dollar, whatever the currency configured in the company information, that exactly it is going to display in the amount. Now, how do I know that which currency is configured? Now you can go to the setup and here search for a company information. Search for company information. Now click on this company information. Now here we have a currency locale. It is saying that USD. Currency locale is USD. Now if I wanted to change it to the India, now click on this, say India. Right. This is Gujarat, India. Right, English INR. Because the language which I want, English, not the Gujarat. So currency locale is the INR. Now, in case right now your company is India, so dollar does not make any sense. That means dollar will not be right way to put it, because this application is used by in India. This application used by India country. So dollar does not work here. It should be displayed the INR. In that case, change this currency locale to the INR. For example, your company is there in multiple locations. For example, your company is there in the multiple locations. Like your company is there in the India. Your company is there in US, UK, Dubai, right? Different places we have your company. In that case, what you can do is activate the multiple currencies. But if you activate multiple currencies, what will happen? Multiple currencies introduce performance changes. So what will happen? If you enable this multiple currencies, so there is lot many changes will be impacted at the Salesforce side. That means there are so many changes that will happen at the backend, and ultimately your org performance will be slowed down. And this feature cannot be turned off. Once you enable this, you cannot turn off. It. So it has to, if you are 100% sure that your company is going to track the multiple currencies, then only activate it. Otherwise, do not activate. You cannot able to deactivate that. So that is the active. For example, I'm just changing the USD to INR. Now click on a save button. Now it is changed to the INR currency locale. Now if I refresh this dollar will be displayed in the INR. Dollar will be displayed as the INR. Now here it is INR. What are the symbol is there? Rupees symbol, right? So the rupees symbol, it is displaying it. Now let me change back to the US. So company information, local, English, United States, USD. And then click on a save button. Now again refresh this. Now the rupees will be displayed in the dollar. Now it is displaying in the dollar. In the currency data type field, the properties will be field label, field name, description, help text length, and then it is going to ask the number of decimal digits, because in currency also we have a decimal. So currency also accept the integer, that means numeric value, currency value, as well as the decimal digits, right? And it is a required checkbox, unique checkbox. We can change the currency symbol based on the need. That means if the client says that we wanted to display the currency as a dollars or a rupees or a UK or dirhams, whatever the symbol they say, that based on the client requirement, we can change it into the company information. Now example, English India, if they wanted to change it to the Indian currency. We can activate the checkbox, activate activity multiple currencies, in case if you wanted to handle the multiple currencies. If the client wants to handle the multiple currencies, we can activate the checkbox. But once we activate the checkbox, we cannot deactivate it. We cannot deactivate it. Take a notes of it. Okay. Now let's move on. The next one is we have another data type. The data type is, if I go to the clients, in the clients, we have one of the field called website. We have one of the field called website. Now, what is this website? Basically, it is storing the URL information. It is storing the URL information. That means if I hover this, it will display as a URL. Now, this is Salesforce standard field. This is Salesforce standard field. Now, if I wanted to create this field, we have a data type which is called URL. Data type which is called URL. So this data type allows the developer or admin to store the website name, or a path of the URL inside the field. In case if you wanted to create a field that will hold the URL, whether it could be a website URL, whether it could be an internal URL, or it could be any image URL, whatever the data is there, or if it is any URL. If you want to hold the URL within the field value, if you wanted to hold the URL, then we will use the data type called URL. Now the website name can be represented in the form of hyperlink. Now, if you are creating the website and use the URL, then website name always in the form of hyperlink. Now, whenever you click on that hyperlink, it will be redirected to the user specified website. Now, for example, here we have the URL. Now, if I click on this Infosys, it will open the infosys.com in the next tab. It will open here in the next tab. Right? So that is the URL. Now, whenever we are creating the URL, what are the properties we have? Properties are field label, field name, description, help text, and the required checkbox, auto add custom report type, and the default value. Right? All these properties we know right now. So this is URL. So URL is basically if you wanted to create a hyperlink or you wanted to store some URLs or a third-party URLs or an internal Salesforce URLs. If you want to store any URL information, then you have to use the data type called URL. You have to use the data type called URL. Take a notes of it. Okay. Now, this is a URL. Similarly, we have an email field. If I go to the email, now if I go to the contact, we have an email. Now, if I wanted to store the email data, I wanted to store the customer email information or a contact email information or hiring manager email ID, or I wanted to store the student email ID. In case if you wanted to store the email ID, then we have to use the data type called email. So this data type allows the admin or a developer to store the email address value inside the field. In case if you wanted to store the email address in the form of exactly whatever is mentioned, like @gmail.com at the end or whatever it is there, right? Yahoo.com, whatever the information, like a company name is there, @infosys.com, right? Whatever the email ID is there, it has to be taken in the format of email address. Now, in case if you want the storing inside the field, which represents the email format, then we have to use the data type called email. Now it contains the inbuilt validation. Now if you have not entered @ or if you have not entered the dot, then it will automatically prompt you to enter the data correctly. So those are the Salesforce inbuilt validation. To verify the email ID format is correct or not while saving the record. If it is not correct, then it will throw an error while creating the record. Else it will save. Either it will show the error message, or if everything is perfect, it will save the record. And if I wanted to create this email, the properties inside this email is field label, field name, description, help text, required checkbox, unique checkbox, external ID, auto add to custom report type, and then default value. These are the properties. We know all the properties inside. Now we know all these properties right now. So take a notes of it. Now, next, we have a few fields, like for example, if I go to the opportunities, in the opportunity, we have a detail section. In the detail section, we have a different pick list values. Now from here, I wanted to choose one. From here, I wanted to choose the one value. That means here I have a multiple values are available. Multiple values are available. Now initial discussion, prospecting, need analysis, value proposition. These are all the pick list values. That means, for example, let's take a scenario. Now we have a different city. Okay, let's assume that city, or yeah, let's take it as a city. Now that means, now here I need to select the multiple values from the drop down. Now that means I need to store the value. Like for example, we have a multiple city names. I have a multiple city names. Now here it is Hyderabad, Vizag, right, Pune, Delhi, Kochi, and Chennai. Right, these are the some city names. These are some city names. Now these city names, these are the pick list. Right, so what I want is this pick list values by default it should show here. These values it should show here, because possible that customer or a customer might be from Hyderabad, customer might be from Vizag, customer might be from the Pune, right? So we need to show all the city names in the drop down. In the drop down, we should show all the city names. Now in the city names, whatever the city names are there, I can scroll down and then I can scroll down and see all the city names here. So that here, whatever the user is able to select, they can select it. Initially, it will be none. Initially, it will be a none, right? So from the bottom, they can select one of the option here. They can select one of the option, for example, from the Hyderabad. So they can choose it from the Hyderabad and they can select the pick list value, which is a Hyderabad here. They can select the Hyderabad here. Right, so this information and basically all the details I'm showing in the drop down. All the details I'm showing in the drop down. So whenever the user click on here drop down, whenever user click on the drop down, so it will open up the pop-up box below and it has some scrolling and it will display the information. It will display the information. But assume that sometimes these cities or a country names, right? Country names is common for everywhere. Whether I'm creating for example, my company is everywhere. It is everywhere, like it is in the US, UK, right? US, UK, or different places we have it. Now let's take an example of country. Let's take an example of country. Example of country. Now we need to create a country, like the country pick list field. So it is a US, right? Australia, and Canada, right? Germany, China, right? China, and then Dubai, India. And these are the some countries are there. Now, whether these countries are I need it everywhere, that means I need it on the account page, I need it on the account object, I need it on the account object, I need on the contact object, I need this country details on the lead because I wanted to capture from which country am I receiving the lead, and also we need to capture the opportunity level. The country has to be captured. Similarly, product level, I need to capture it. because the products will be vary, the price will be vary based on the country. Product level also I need it. So basically, I need a country pick list field everywhere. Everywhere I need a country pick list. In almost every object, I need a country pick list. Now that means I will be going to the each object. I will be going to the each object and then I'll click on the fields and relationship. I'll click on the new button. I'll create the pick list. Now every object going to the every object. Right now it says here 5 objects. But in the real time, it is possible that there are 10 objects are there. 10 objects which require same country detail should be there. Same country detail should be there. Now for all the country details, I should be creating for all the objects I have it. In the real time, there are 10 objects are there. For all the objects, we need to create a country field within the object. Now, instead of creating the field, country field in every object, instead of creating a field in the every object, now I need some common place where I can store this inside the some place so that I can just refer that. That means I'll create a pick list field only one time. Right here, how many times we are creating it? We are creating 10 times. Same work I am repeating multiple times. Instead of creating in the every object, what we can do is there is a something called a global object. There is something called a global object. In this global object, I can create a field. I can create a field. Now, whatever the field is there, the country field, I can create exactly same how it is needed. I can create exactly same field in the global object. So that what will happen whenever I am creating the pick list in object. Now, for example, I am creating the new and creating the pick list. I can refer that inside the pick list. I can refer this here. Similarly, every object I can refer the pick list. Now, global pick list. I need not to enter the values again and again. I need not to enter the values again and again. No, this is called as a global pick list. This is called as a global pick list. So first of all, pick list is nothing but this control. This control allow us to select only one element from the collection of the element. Now, whatever these bottom lines are there, from out of this, I can select only one value. Pick list is, it will allow us to store only the one value from the pick list options. And upon creation, upon populating the element, developer can select the default value also. Default value also they can select it. Now I have here multiple around some city names are there, 100 city names are there, 100 city names are there. Now by default, I wanted to, whenever we are creating a report, by default, it should take default Hyderabad. Default, it should take the Hyderabad. That means if user is not entering the city, it should take automatically Hyderabad is a default one. So what I can make is Hyderabad value as a default value. Hyderabad value as a default value. So it will automatically taken by the system. Now properties while creating the pick list is we have a field label, field name, description, help text and values. Whenever it is asking the values, there are two things are there. Either you need to refer the global pick list or you need to enter the values. If you think that this pick list is only used in the single object, only used in the single object, what you can do is you can enter the values. But if you think that this field is needed in the multiple objects, then better create a global pick list. Better create a global pick list and refer that global pick list while creating the pick list. Now let's go ahead and create the global pick list. Now in order to create a global pick list, go to the setup and search here global pick list. Global pick list. Now you do not have a global pick list. Now here it is. Let me search pick list. Pick list value set. Pick list value set, which is nothing but a global pick list, which is nothing but global pick list. So here the search for a pick list, now you will be able to find the global pick list. Now it says that global pick list value sets let you share the values across the object. That means you can share the values to the multiple objects. Click on a new button. Click on new button. Now here I'll say that country. Name is automatically taken. Now let's give the country names. Let's say United States, India, UK, Australia, Canada, Germany, and Dubai. Right? So these are the different things like a France, right? Colombia. Now these are the different countries are available. I'm entering the values here. I'm entering the values. Now below we have a two checkboxes. Below we have a two checkboxes. Now what is that checkboxes? Now let me show you that. Now below we have a two checkboxes. One, it says display the values alphabetically, not in the order entered. Now I have entered here, not in alphabet, not in order. I have not entered in order. So Australia is somewhere here. Canada is somewhere here. Now Germany, after Germany, I have entered the Dubai. It's not in the order. It's not in the order. I wanted to, by default, Salesforce to do the ordering. Now I cannot delete it, add it again. I don't want to delete and add it again. Let the Salesforce do the ordering. In that case, now you can say here display the values alphabetically. Now whenever we are viewing the values in the pick list, it will by default displays in the order. Whenever we are viewing the values in the pick list, it will display in the order. And use the first value as a default value. Whatever the offer after ordering or whatever the first value is there, by default take it as a first value as a default value. Let's check this. Click on save. Now I have created the pick list. When I have created the pick list, see it is order is, now it is displaying the all the pick list values. Whenever it is displaying the all the pick list values, automatically it is created in the sorting order. I did not create in this order. I first entered the United States. Because I have checked that, let the system to do the sorting. So I did the sorting and then Australia displayed on the top. Australia displayed on the top. Then the Canada, Colombia, Dubai, France, Germany, India, UK, United States. So all these are displaying in the order. Now it is taken as a default. It is taken as a default, right? It is taken as a default. Now if you wanted to do the reordering, you can do the reordering. Or if you wanted to add a new value, you can add the new value. Or if you wanted to replace, you can replace it. Now let me see first of all. This right now we have added the values. Now this is a global pick list. This is global value set. Now this global value set, I wanted to add it into the object level. Now let's go here. Let's go to the customer. Let's go to the customer. Now inside this customer, now I wanted to create a field which is called as a pick list. Now let's create a pick list here. Let's create pick list and click on the next button. Now here I'll say that country. Here it is asking the values. Do you want to use the global pick list values or do you want it to enter? Now every time entering the same values is so difficult. So that's the reason we have created the global pick list. Now I can select the global pick list. So here is the global pick list which is displaying it. Global pick list which is displaying it. Now if you wanted to arrange the values in the alphabetical order, then select again. But here it is disabled because these two options we have already did it into the country. These two options we have already did it in the global pick list. So that's the reason it is disabled. That's the reason it is disabled. Now, is it a required? No, let's not make it as a required. Click on the next button and let's click on save. Now let's go to the customer. Now here, let's go to the Anita. Now we have a pick list field which is called as a country. Now this is the pick list field. This is pick list field. Now default it is taken as a none, right? So Australia. Now let me click on the save. So here, new contact. Customer to be created. New customer. Let's say, let's create a new customer today. Let's say customer name is Devika. And credit card details is, let's enter some details. And this is the credit card details. And date of birth, let's say 2018 July. And the discount is 5%. Now here, see, country, I have not entered the country. By default, it is taken the Australia. Now if you want to change it, you can change it. But default, it will take the Australia. So whenever we create a country or whenever we create a new record, automatically it takes the country as a default Australia. Now this is the value. For example, in the global pick list, I wanted to add a new country. I wanted to add new country. Now if I wanted to add a new country, let's say go to the global pick list value. Let's go to the, click on this. Now here I wanted to add new country. Now let's click on this new button. I'm going to add a new country. Let's say Brazil. Brazil is another country. Now also I'll add Bangladesh. Click on save. Click on save. Now what happened? Brazil and Bangladesh both are displaying at the bottom of the pick list. They both are displaying bottom of the pick list. Now if I refresh this, now here also, let's see the country. Now click on this edit. Now it is displaying the Brazil, Bangladesh displaying it. But what is happening? It is not in the order. It is not in the order. It is displaying exactly at the bottom. It is displaying exactly at the bottom. Now I wanted to reorder this. I wanted to reorder. Click on this reorder. Now Brazil and Bangladesh. How do you select it? Multiple. Hold the control key and select this Bangladesh and move it to the top. And after the A, it should be B. Now click on save. Or else you can simply select this, display the values alphabetically. Now click on this save. Now we have it in the order. Now let me see here. Let's refresh. You can see the country. Country here, after A, it is displaying the Bangladesh and Brazil. Right. Similarly, if you wanted to replace some country, let's assume that I wanted to replace the country, which is a Colombia. Now let's click on here, replace. Now if I click on here, replace, now I'm going to replace it is going to ask me that select the value changing to the, which one you are changing to. Let's say Colombia, I'm changing, Colombia, I'm changing, Colombia, I'm changing to the Let's say Canada. Canada, I'm changing. Right? So select the value that you wanted to change. I'm selecting here. Now exact value changing from this to this. This. I need to select. I wanted to replace it. Now, for example, I have a Canada. Canada is there, right? I wanted to replace the Canada from Canada to Colombia. Replace. And it says that your pick list, your replace job is in the queue. You can check it in the progress background job. You will be getting the email. So whenever I receive email, so that means there is something which is happening at the back end. There is something happening at the back end. Now, once that is done, I will be receiving an email. What is has been changed? What is has been changed? Which one has been changed? So I'll be receiving an email. The email to the whatever the org email is there, that org email we will receive it. Now here it says your pick list value is. Now we have received the email. Now it says that your pick list replace is done. For pick list country on the object customer, Canada was replaced with Colombia. Canada replaced with Colombia. Now let's click on this. Right, so wherever I have the country is Colombia, then it will be changed. Now let's click on this Colombia. Now I'm going to change, replace. Let's say Canada and then say Colombia. Click on replace. Your pick list replace job is in the queue. You can check it is in the progress job. You will get when it is done. So once it is done, I can replace and I can see what is the value it is displaying. So replace is a general terminology. Existing one, it will get replaced. Existing one, it will get replaced. Now, in case if you want to see in the printable view, in case if you wanted to see in the printable view, you can click on this printable view. You can click on this printable view. If you click on this printable view, it is just going to display all the values like this. It is going to display all the values. Click on close. And if you wanted to add a chart color, let's say I'm assigning to the fixed values or the fixed pick list fields. Okay, pick list. Set. Country. Let's say I'm going to go with dynamic. Do you want to proceed? Let's say okay. Now that does not work in the lightning. I need to switch to the classic. Let's switch to the classic. Now here setup. Global pick list. Pick list. No, not global pick list. It's a pick list. Pick list value set. Now click on the country. Chart color, assign the fixed values. Now it is assign the fixed values. Right? So whenever we are selecting it, by default at the backend, it will collect this. Like whenever we are generating a report on this pick list value, based on the pick list values, it will automatically take the chart color in this color. Or if you wanted to assign the colors dynamically, if you want to assign the colors dynamically, then it says that assign dynamically. assign dynamically. If you want to assign just the fixed colors, you can simply assign the fixed colors. Right? So this is only in the classic it works, in the lightning it does not work. Now, pick list is basically we can select only one element from the collection of the element. Now, whenever we are populating the element, developer can set the value as a default value in the pick list. Properties are field label, field name, description, help text values. Inside the values, we have a two type of values. Either you enter the values manually or you can refer the global pick list. Checkbox arrange the element in the ascending order in case if you wanted to arrange in the ascending order, you can use that. And make the first value as a default value. If you want to use the first value as a default value, you can use it. And then checkbox restrict the pick list values based on the value set. So this is another value. Now let me go back here. Click on a setup. Let's go to the object. Customer. Inside this customer, we have created the pick list. We have created the pick list. What is the pick list? Country. Now here you have one option which is called as a restrict pick list with the values defined in the value set. Now if you enable this, what are the values we have it in the pick list? Now for example, here I do not have it. Let's assume China is not there. China is not there in this list. Now, third-party system is sending the data to Salesforce. Whenever they are sending the data to the Salesforce, they said that country equal to China. They said country equal to China. Country equal to China. Now, when they said country equal to China, now is that China is available inside this? It's not available. So so Salesforce will ask, should I need to assign this China to the country field in the record level or should not? How Salesforce is going to decide that based on the option which is called restrict the pick list to the values defined in the value set. If this is enabled, whatever the values are coming from the third party system or what are the values are declared by the different system. Now, if that value is not present here, then it will not create a record. It will not accept it or it will not accept this China. It will not even display the China on the record. If this is inactive, if this tick box is inactive, then China will be accepted. Whether the value is there inside the pick list values or not, it will always accept it. It will always accept. Whatever the values are there, it will always accept. So restrict pick list values, if it is enable, only allow to create a record with the values that are available within this pick list value. Whatever the values are available, only those values are available during the creation of the record. In case if the third party system is sending the China, it will not take the China. Now, if it is a disable, this option is a disable. If this option is a disable, it will take the China and that China will be added to this values. It will be added the China to these values. So that's about the restricted pick list value set. And then we have a required checkbox, auto add to custom report type. Auto add to custom report type default values. Default values. And take a notes of it. Right. So the next one is multi-select pick list. Right now, from the pick list, I can only select the single value. I can only select the single value. But let's assume that I wanted to select the multiple values. I want an option to select the multiple values. In that case, how can we do it? In that case, we have an option called Picklist multi-select. Picklist multi-select. Now let's take a scenario. Assume that usually anybody will have a hobbies, multiple hobbies will be there. Multiple hobbies will be there. Now, if I'm collecting the customer data, now definitely we need to collect the customer hobbies, right? So what are their hobbies if I wanted to collect it? So usually hobbies are multiple hobbies. Now let's say here, now we have a hobbies of, let's say, reading, right, shopping, or maybe chit chatting, watching movie, ball, cricket, right? So these are the few common, like wherever we see like a reading, shopping, or chit chatting, or a watch a movie, football, cricket. These are the common. Now, usually whenever the person is, if the person is interested in multiple, so they will be interested in multiple. Now, these are the pick list values it is available. These are the available pick list values. Available pick list values. Now, user has to select from this picklist value, user has to select the picklist value. So, if they select the picklist value, then it should be displayed here. That means we will be having an option. So, user can select it. User can select it. Let's assume this is the add, this is the add, and this is remove. This is remove. This is the add button, and this is a remove button. This is remove button. Now, this is the inside the record, we have this multi-picklist value. Now, whenever the user is entering the form or entering the details, they should enter the, assume that this is the hobbies. Hobbies they need to choose it. So, customer will be choosing the hobby. So, for example, reading is the hobby. For example, reading is the hobby. So, they have selected the reading option and click on the button. Click on the button. So what will happen immediately? Click on the button. So once we click on this button, it will be moved to the selected pick list. It will be moved to the selected pick list. Similarly, if the user has a multiple, if they wanted to select it, they can select the multiple and they can move it to the selected. Now here it is going to display here. Right? In case if you wanted to remove any of this, select this cricket, I wanted to remove it. Now click on this remove button and then it gets added to the available pick list. It's get added to the available pick list. So multi-pick list is nothing but user will have a flexibility to choose the multiple options from the pick list. That means this control allows allow user to select the multiple elements from the collection of elements. Multiple elements from the collection of elements. So selected elements will be resides inside the column field by by appending the elements with the help of separated called semicolon. Now, for example, I'm choosing the multiple values here, but in the database, how these values are going to store? Is it going to store one by one? For example, is the database. In the database, I have a customer data, right? I have a customer data, and inside this customer data, I have a one column which says hobbies. One column which says hobbies. Now, how the data will be displayed, how the data will be stored in the database, it's like a kind of reading and then football. Like this, it is going to store. No, it will not store like this. In the backend, whenever we select the data, multiple pick list values, whenever we select the multiple values in the pick list, it always stores reading semicolon and then football semicolon. After ending every option, after ending the every pick list value, there is a semicolon is appended. There is a semicolon is appended. So semicolon separated with the semicolon. So like this, chess, semicolon, movies, semicolon, music, semicolon, reading books, semicolon, right? Now, so whatever the data we are selecting it, every field is ending with semicolon. Every picklist value is ending with semicolon. Properties are field label, field name, description, help text. And also we have a values. You can choose the values from the global picklist values or enter the values manually. Now checkbox arrange the element in the alphabet order, same as the picklist. And checkbox use the first value as the default value. And the checkbox restrict the picklist values based on the value set default true. Now, if you wanted to enable this restrict picklist, you can enable. When you restrict the picklist, you cannot accept apart from the whatever is there in the values. Only those values only can be accepted in the picklist. If you are entering any other data, it will not be accepted by the system. If you disable this restrict pick list, any value can be accepted, whether it is there in the pick list or not, every value will be accepted. Visible lines, how many lines you wanted to visible, and required checkbox, auto add to custom report type, and the default value. Now that's about the pick list multi-select. Pick list multi-select, take a notes of it. Let's move on. Now sometimes in Swiggy or whenever you are ordering or whenever you are sharing your location, to the another person, right? You will through the WhatsApp, you will share your current location, or in the Swiggy, whenever you are ordering the food, you are sharing the current location. Now, what will happen when I share the current location? Select the current location. What will happen at the backend? Basically, every location we have a latitude and longitude. Every location we have a latitude and longitude. Every location we have a latitude and longitude. So you are sharing the current location is nothing but at the back end in the logic that they are get in the Swiggy, whoever is implemented the application, or in WhatsApp, what are the current location you are sharing it. So basically every location will have a latitude and longitude, which is called as a geolocation, which is called geolocation. In Salesforce also, we have that concept which is called geolocation, Now, geolocation is this data type allows us to store the geographical coordinates of the specified location, latitude and longitude values. Properties, field label, field name, description, help text, latitude and longitude. So whenever you create a geolocation field, in the record, you will see the two fields. In the record, you will see the two fields. One is a latitude field, another one is a longitude field. And then required checkbox, auto add to custom report type. Default values. Right, this is the geolocation. And the next one which we have is a phone. Phone data type is basically if you wanted to collect the contact number or a phone number, then as usual, normal field label, field name, description, help text, required checkbox, auto add to custom report type, default value. And we will see the continuation tomorrow. No, that's all for today. Take a no interview questions. We'll give the homework tomorrow. Interview questions are: what are the differences between the date data type and time data type? What is restricted picklist value based on the value set? What is restrict picklist values based on the value set? What is the differences between the picklist and multi-select picklist? What is global picklist? And how to refer the global picklist in field? What is geolocation? How multi-picklist selected values stored in the database? How multi-picklist selected values stored in the database. Explain the external ID in Salesforce. So these are the interview questions. And I'll give you the trial head links, which is also having the previous one. So that's all for today.